Welcome, sweet friends, to the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy, my husband is Paul, and we are so happy you have joined us today. We are going to get into the kitchen and we are going to show you a bunch of frugal hacks to save you some money. Every time we go into the food store, prices have risen. Eggs are like $5, $6, $7 a dozen. Butter is $5 a pound. Buttermilk, milk, everything is skyrocketed. We're going to show you substitutes that you can use in place of eggs. We're going to stretch our butter. We're going to show you what you can use instead of buttermilk. And then we're just going to get into the kitchen, create some recipes with these hacks to show you if they work or not. And then we're just going to share some more hacks with you. So this is a super full video. I want to start by saying welcome to all our new subscribers. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to the family. Now let's get to this video. The first thing I want to share with you are just some substitutes that you can use for eggs. Eggs are out of control right now, but there are so many substitutes out there when we cook that we can replace eggs with. So these are just a couple of them that I'm going to share with you real quick. I know there are others, but this is a start. So let's just go over these real quick. Each of these are a common substitute for one egg. 2 tablespoons of carbonated water, a 1/4 cup unsweetened plain applesauce, a 1/4 cup mashed bananas, 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed and 3 tablespoons of water, 3 tablespoons of aquafaba, and a 1/4 cup buttermilk. So those are just some common substitutes for eggs. What we're going to do now is we're going to get into the kitchen and we're going to take one of those substitutes and incorporate it into a recipe and replace the eggs with, you'll have to wait and see. Let's turn the camera around and get in the kitchen. We know that 2 tablespoons of buttermilk equals 1 egg in a recipe. But buttermilk, as well as eggs, are expensive. So we're going to make some faux buttermilk. I'm going to take a tablespoon of white vinegar and put it in a 1 cup measuring cup. And then I'm going to fill the cup up with milk. Just going to give it a little mix. And we're going to set it aside. This is a great way to stretch a pound of ground beef. It calls for 3 slices of bread, and I am just grating this several-day-old bread. It's a little dried out, but it'll be perfect. Now, as you get down to the edge of the bread, you don't want to cut your fingers. So what I do is I just stop, and then I just take my fingers and I crumple up any big pieces of bread, because you do not want to bite into a meatball that has got a big chunk of bread in the middle. I'm going to put about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a couple of shakes of Italian seasoning, put about a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder in, some ground black pepper. Now you could add of salt at this point, but I am going to add grated Parmesan cheese. And if you have any, use that. What a wonderful flavor that will give. Our milk sat for about 10 minutes, and you can see there are small clumps now. The recipe called for 2 eggs, and we know that 2 tablespoons buttermilk equals 1 egg. So we're going to put in 4. I have a clean little glass jar. I'm going to add the rest of this to it because we don't want to waste this. I'm going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator. It has to be kept refrigerated. And now we have faux buttermilk, and I'm thinking we can make some faux buttermilk pancakes tomorrow. So this is just a great hack to save us some money on eggs and buttermilk. I get to get down and dirty. I know a lot of people don't like this, but I do use my hands to mix this all together. So that is what I am going to do right now. The beef mixture came together beautifully. The egg in meatballs is usually used as a binder. The faux buttermilk seems to have worked beautifully. So I'm just going to make us a tray of meatballs. I bake my meatballs. I don't fry them, but we're going to bake these. We got 17 meatballs out of a pound of ground beef, which is really good. So we're going to bake them at 375 for just about 20 minutes. Our meatballs just came out of the oven and they look perfect. By the way, I meant to tell you, I do use 80/20 ground beef for my meatballs. Let's cut one open, see what the inside looks like. It's holding together beautifully. We will let them cool just a little bit. Look at that. Okay, I am not seeing any discrepancy in the firmness, the texture, but the taste will be the test.
All right, here it is. Let's try this out. Wow, I don't notice any difference with the egg missing. The faux buttermilk definitely did what it was supposed to do because I'm not missing the egg. And the breadcrumbs are just the perfect amount. The meatball's not bready. It's delicious. It really is. So hey, now you can save eggs.
Those meatballs were a total win. There was not one thing I would change. And I also will tell you right now, I don't ever think I'll add an egg to a meatball again. Honestly, what a money saver. The texture was perfect. The taste was wonderful. What a way to save on 2 eggs right off the bat. So that was a total win. I encourage you to try that recipe. Now let's get into the kitchen and see what we can do with a stick of butter. Regular butter is about $5 a pound in our area. Whipped butter is anywhere between $7 and $8 a pound. Now, does that make sense to you? But we know that so many people prefer whipped butter. It's easier to spread, it stretches further, but let's see if we can make our own whipped butter. How easy it is it worth it, and how did it come out? Let's turn the camera around one more time. I have 1 stick of salted butter here, and we are going to turn this butter into softened whipped butter, so it goes further. Don't forget, store your butter wrappers in the refrigerator to grease your pans. This butter is softened just a little bit. Now I'm going to turn it on and I'm just going to start whipping it, just on low. And every once in a while, just scrape your sides down. What I am going to do now is add 2 tablespoons of milk. You can add 2 tablespoons of water by all means. I just have extra milk that I'd like to use up. So that's 2 tablespoons of milk. After I add the milk, now I put on my beater attachment, and I'm going to use that now. So we just whipped it with the beater attachment until it became light and fluffy. As you can see, it's beautiful. What is the advantage to this? The advantage is you're going to use less. Now, I know there are tons of recipes out there where you can add a cup of oil to this to make it stretch further, but we did not want to add anything to the butter. We're still looking for that butter taste. I have my little Pyrex crock here, and I'm going to put this butter right in here. Now, this does need to stay in the refrigerator because we did break down the compound of the butter. So now we're going to keep this in the refrigerator, and you can take it out about 15 minutes before you want to use it, and it has to be covered. We are going to try some of this on a piece of toast right now and see if there's any taste difference. I can see definitely how light and fluffy this is and how much less you would just use because of that. So let's give it a taste. I have a piece of my homemade bread here, and I'm just going to take a little bit. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I can see right away the amount of money you would save doing this. Think of how much you have to pay in a store for whipped butter. You could make honey butter out of this, strawberry butter out of this, cinnamon and sugar butter. I wouldn't advise you baking with this. No added chemicals, nothing but a little air and a little milk or water. So this is going to go right into the refrigerator, and we're going to give this a taste. That worked out wonderfully. I can't tell you, the consistency is like air. It's spread beautifully, and I know it will go further because you're using so much less. When we put butter on the table, we're like grabbing a hunk of it and putting it on our bread. No need to now. And again, I'm going to encourage you with that whipped butter, Add some mashed up fruit and some powdered sugar and make some fruit butter. Add honey, make honey butter, make a savory butter. Add garlic and, oh my goodness, some rosemary. There's just so many things you can do with it. And it was so much more economical than buying a tub of whipped butter. So that was another win. Now, we want to share some really fun frugal tips that we use every day in the kitchen. Some of them may be new to you, some may be tried and true. Either way, they are worth reminding you of. If you haven't tried the garlic hack and the orange hack, Paul is going to show you. They're mind-blowing. I was like, what? So let's turn this camera around once again, get into the kitchen, save some time, and save some money. Here you go.
Let's say you need a lot of cloves of garlic for something that you're making, or you want to store it in a jar. Simply take your garlic clove, cut off the ends, cut off the other end, separate the cloves, place the cloves in a container. Now put a lid on your container and shake it. And there you have it. You have to shake the container up and down this way with the lid on.
The peels just come right off.
Yeah, they just come right out.
Oh my goodness, this is a great hack.
Now you take your garlic, place it in a clean container. Remember to save your glass containers when you can because they come in really handy. And now you can place this in your refrigerator and you could use it up to 5 to 7 days anytime you need garlic. But you have to keep this refrigerated. Here's a great way to eat an orange and not have to worry about peeling it so much. We're going to take an orange here and we're going to cut off the ends. And then we're going to make a slice, but not all the way through the orange, just through the peel. And now we're going to unroll it. Look at that. Now when you want a section of orange, your kids or yourself, you just peel it off. There it is.
Oh, that's a great little hack.
Let me try that. It's good. Here's another trick we can do in the kitchen. Sponges. We use them all the time. Look how big they are. They're great. But you know what? Sponges get dirty quickly or they get ripped and you wind up throwing them out. So why not cutting them in half and only using half a sponge? This way, if one does get dirty from maybe a greasy pot or maybe a spill on the floor, you don't want to use your floor sponge for doing dishes. This is a great hack to save money.
Another great hack that we sometimes don't remember is to freeze food that we are not going to be able to use in time. So cheese freezes beautifully. Paul takes them, puts them into individual portion sizes, and then we put them together in a Ziploc bag. Now, before I get comments about too much plastic, these bags are washed and reused. Long as it doesn't have raw meat in it, it gets washed and reused. They are much thicker than one would think, and you can reuse them again, long as it doesn't hold raw meat. This is another thing I keep in my freezer, and that is chicken carcasses from leftover meals. As you can see, there's some celery in here. This is a turkey neck from Thanksgiving. What do I do with this? We make stock. We make broth. I put this in my crock pot, fill it up with water and some cut up celery, onion, garlic, carrots, and what a delicious stock. And then I freeze it in 1 cup portions in my freezer. Things like cranberries freeze beautifully. I always take them out of the original bag and put them in a Ziploc. Again, this will be reused. Great for muffins, breads, whatever you may use them for. Overripe bananas go right into a plastic Ziploc bag for banana bread, for banana muffins, for smoothies. Utilize your freezer to save yourself some money.
Another great kitchen hack that we do is to buy our meat in a value pack or a family pack. We used a digital coupon that brought down the price to $2.99 a pound. So that's a great bargain right there. As you can see, we already used a pound to make the meatballs. So now I'm going to break this up into smaller, usable sizes and vacuum seal them in our food saver, put them in the freezer for later on. So this is a great way to save money. And there it is. 8 packages, roughly 8 ounces each, give or take, food savored and dated to go in the freezer for future use.
Now, those were just some easy ways to save time and money in the kitchen, and we hope they encouraged you. Now for our last hack, we're going to do another egg substitute recipe. We're going to create some brownies, but we're mixing it up. We're going to be replacing the eggs with something I didn't even know you could replace eggs with. Let's turn this camera around and show you what we did. In things like baked goods, a 1/4 cup of seltzer water, and of course you want to use plain, I wouldn't use flavored. A 1/4 cup of seltzer water replaces 1 egg. So we're going to try it with a plain brownie mix. So we are going to do this and substitute the 2 eggs for a 1/2 cup of plain seltzer water. This bottle of seltzer water ran about $1. You want to make sure you keep the cap on tightly in between uses because it's the carbonation that will give the rise in this recipe. So let's try to make these brownies substituting a 1/2 cup of seltzer for the eggs. So I've added my oil and I've added my water. Now instead of the 2 eggs, we're going to add the 1/2 cup of seltzer. And instead of oil, you could have used applesauce in this as well. Oh wow, okay. That really fizz. Mix this for 50 strokes. It says to coat the bottom of the pan with non-stick cooking spray. Don't even own it. Pull out your butter wrapper. Do the bottom of the pan with that. We're going to put this in a 350 oven now for about 30-35 minutes. We are going to see how this rises. We're going to see how it tastes. We're going to see the density of it. This is going to be really neat. So in it goes. The brownies cooked for 35 minutes. And when they came out of the oven, they were fine. But you can see now we've got a dip in the middle. It almost looks like it's not cooked, but it was. So we're going to cut a piece and see how it tastes. So here's the brownie. It's a little uneven because you have some sides that are a little higher than the other. It is delicious. The only thing that was a little odd is the top is a little bit crispy.
There's like a crunchy topping on there. It's good. It's very good, but there's just a little, when you bite into it, you taste like a little gritty crunch.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the carbonation, maybe the bubbles. It was not a fail by any means. If you have seltzer in the house and you need brownies, this would work. It worked. It is delicious. And you know we keep it real here. I would not call this last recipe a fail. It was delicious. It was a little different than a normal like cake type brownie. It was very moist. It was very chewy. It was fudgy. So if you like your brownies that way, this would be your hack to try. They were a little hard to cut. I'm not going to lie. What I'm going to do with them, I think, is cut them up and make them into a trifle. We're having company tomorrow night, and I think that will be delicious. So it was not a fail, but it was a different texture than we're used to for a brownie. But they were very good, very chocolatey. Today's question of the day, you know what it's going to be. Give me your #1 kitchen hack in the comments down below. Something that saves you time, something that saves you money. This way we can all encourage each other and share with each other. It's all about the community. And we thank you for being a part of this community. We are on a no-spend January, as you all know, and we are still plugging along. We're over halfway there. Can you believe it already? I want to know how you all are doing. Leave it down in the comments section, those of you who are doing low and no-spend January. Now for some good news. We have reached over 35,000 subscribers. Thank you humbly, thank you sincerely. And you all know with every 5,000 subscribers, we do a giveaway. But it's a no-spend January. We've never had it fall in January. And we're telling you now, the first video we do in February will include our 35,000 subscriber giveaway. So we are so excited about that. Thank you all. You are what makes this channel what it is, and we so appreciate you. So we hope this video was encouraging. We hope you found it helpful. Please give it a big thumbs up. It really helps us so much. Subscribe if you haven't. Come on in. We want to welcome you into the family as well. We ask you to be well. We ask you to stay safe. And above all, we wish you blessings. Until our next video, may God bless you.